Hi, and welcome to MBA512, Business Planning and Strategic Management for the winter 2022. So in this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to best prepare for this course and what successful strategies you use to do the best possible in this course. I've tried to make the course as organized and logical as possible to achieve our learning goals. So I'm going to take you through the menu path here. The first menu path here is announcements. So the first announcement here is just talking about 5 things I suggest you do in week 1. I suggest you fully read over the syllabus. You review the assignments in the menu tab, review the discussions in the menu tab, see the Zoom simulation in the menu tab, and register and start playing, and watch the Getting Started video, which you're obviously doing right now, which is great. Now, second announcement is about the midterm. So the midterm is on January 14th, which is a Friday, and the midterm is 50 multiple choice questions based on chapters 1 through 6 in the strategy text. And you're going to have 3 hours to complete this assignment. There's also a final exam that comes into two parts. So the final exam is on Friday, this January 21st. Now, the exam is going to be open all day, but once you open the exam, either the midterm or the finals, you only have 3 hours to complete. Most students complete these exams within an hour and 15 minutes. Now, the first part of the final exam will be a multiple choice question, very similar to the midterm. But the second part will be an essay exam, which will ask you to compose a number of short essays. And both the exams, the part 1 of the multiple choice will cover chapters 7 through 12 in the strategy textbook, and the part 2 is going to cover chapters 1 through 12 in the strategy textbook and chapters 1 through 6 in the Blue Ocean textbook. Now, what does this look like when the day comes to take the assignment? You go to the exams, you go to assignments, and I'm just going to show you what they look like. Right now, they're closed. They're only going to open up on the day of the exam. So you just click on this link. It will lead you to the exam. You complete the exam and hit submit. And it's as simple as that. So these are where the links will appear on early morning at 1 a.m. These links will appear to work on these exams, and you'll have until the end of the day to complete. But once you start the exam, you generally have 3 hours to finish the exam in one sitting. There's no saving for later. So when you're ready to start working on it, make sure you have enough time to complete it. And that's why I broke up the final exam into 2 parts. So you could start one, and then a few hours later, when you're ready, you can start the second part of the final exam. Okay, let me put this back here. Go back to announcements. So that's why I feel like the midterm and the final exam is what most people have questions about. So I put that up first on the discussion board, and it's fairly simple. You take everything is going to happen within Blackboard. You're going to take these exams within Blackboard, and it's fairly straightforward. Now, we have discussion boards that we'll be working with in this class, and the total value of discussion boards is 18 points. And I'm going to set up 6 different discussion boards, 2 per week. So each discussion board is worth 3 points, and I'll talk about them in more detail when I get to that menu button. We also are going to have the Zoom business simulation. And this is a simulation where you're going to simulate a lot of the strategic concepts you're learning in class. And this is going to start fairly quickly. So the first round is going to be due on January 6th. And you need to be registered by January 5th. I have a getting started video for the Zoom that you can watch right here. We'll show you how to get started with the Zoom and how to get registered. And you just click here, and it'll pop you over to YouTube. And it'll have everything you need to know about how to register for the course and how to play the first round. Now, there's going to be 6 rounds. We're going to be doing 2 competitive rounds a week. So it's an online simulation where we're all competing together against each other. So it's important that you have your round finished by the due date. Otherwise, your team's decisions won't be included in the overall calculations of the business environment. And there's no going back or redoing or submitting late with this. So make sure you really get these due dates for the simulation done on time. You would go to zoomsim.net to register. The class code is WIN22, and you need over 2,500 cumulative points to get the full 15 points for the simulation. And that's just an average C grade. The 2,500 points is the average score teams will score on this in this class. And I have about 80-90% of the students getting 2,500 points or above. If you get less than 2,500 points, your total grade starts dropping down to a bottom of 6 points if you earn under 1,500 points. There are some students who make 1,000 points in round one, so you can see how 1,500 points is really hard to get less than 1,500 points. And then I give you a schedule for each week of what we're doing, what classes, what chapters we're focusing on. I give you some announcement on citation examples for when you write any of your papers. So let's move back up. So those announcements. So when you have a time, go over that more carefully. We also have a syllabus for the course, and in this course syllabus is going to go over the one thing to know: this is an asynchronous class. If you haven't already figured that out, it's asynchronous, which means we're not going to meet in the classroom. We're not going to meet live in a Zoom communication tool. Everything's going to be pre-recorded. So when you have time, read over the syllabus. I'm going to give a pretty generous course description, our learning goals, how we're going to accomplish the learning goals. We have 2 textbooks. We have Strategic Management, excuse me, Theory and Practice, 6th edition. And this is a relatively inexpensive textbook. Both textbooks I have for the class are each under $40 or less. So this is the first textbook. The second textbook is going to be the Blue Ocean Strategy textbook, and this is another mass-published book that should be around $20 or $30. It's pretty inexpensive. I'll show you how to buy these books in a minute. Let's move on to grading. So the participation for the discussion boards is 18 points. The mini casework is 30 points. And we have a midterm is going to be 15 points. The final exam multiple choice test will be 15 points. And the final exam essay test will be 7 points. And the Zoom simulation will be 15 points. That will give us a total of 100 points. This is how your points will convert to a letter grade. Okay. And then I list out the schedule for all 3 weeks of the course, and then just some required syllabus statements in here. So when you have time, read over that syllabus and get to know that. It's very important for the class. So let's keep moving this along. We have our course documents. So under course documents, you will find the PowerPoints for the Strategic Management textbook. You will find the end of chapter answers to the true and false and multiple choice questions in the Strategic Management textbook. I put them here. I also have PowerPoints on Blue Ocean. So I have 2 PowerPoints I created for the Blue Ocean and then the Parnell textbook chapters we're covering. I have an example of a case study up here for McDonald's. If you want an example of how a case study would look when completed. And let's see. So this is the answers to these different keys. These are questions that are inside the textbook that you may want to use to study at the end of each of the chapters. Okay. And now our class videos. So to get to the video lectures for the course, you just click on class video lectures. This will pop you over to YouTube, and you'll have all the lectures in order for the class to watch in a very convenient area. I picked YouTube to house the lectures because it's very easy for you to watch that on your phone, your MacBook, your PC, your tablet, your iPad. So it's a really great and convenient place to post the videos. I've had problems with video playback in other medium before where the video players didn't work so well. So this is a pretty good solution for all your lecture videos. Now, to get the Parnell textbook, I call it the Parnell textbook. That's the Strategic Management textbook. Yeah, it's $39. You just buy it from this website directly, and it comes in. It's an ebook, so you can get it right away. Now, for the Blue Ocean textbook, I'll just pop you over to this. It's on Amazon, and it's currently you could buy it for Kindle for $15 or a hardcover for $17. It's a pretty inexpensive book. It's a New York Times bestseller book, and you have, over almost 3,000 ratings of the book, giving it 4.5 stars. So a pretty well received textbook. exciting to read. I love it. The business simulation, if you click here for the business simulation, it'll bring you over to the Zoom page where you can register for the simulation by clicking that register button. And of course, you register as a student and you fill this out. The rest is in the video I have under announcements for the simulation that you can watch. Other assignments, if you click here for assignments, these are the case studies. So in here, you're going to read the case studies are in the back of the chapters of the textbook. So I tell you what chapter they're behind, and then you read the case studies, and then you answer these case questions. So what you're going to do is once you can do this in Word easily. You can just sort of easiest way for me to grade and for you to write it is just highlight all this information here, cut and paste it into a Word document, and then start typing your answers below each of the questions. It'll be very easy for me to see what you're writing. And remember, I would suggest you use some outside sources in completing some of these case questions. You could go to the library resources, look up articles, or go to the internet to look up articles to get additional outside information of any facts or figures that you may want to cite and put in your reference list on each of the cases. And when you're done with the case, you just click here, and then you would click Browse My Computer, and down here, which you can't see us off screen, there's a Submit button to submit it when you're ready. And that's how you submit the homework. There's also a rubric, so you can read over the rubric of how I grade the case, what I'm looking at, when I'm judging, when I go to grade your work. Okay, so we have week 1 cases, week 2 cases, and week 3 cases to complete. And there are 10 points each. The first one's 5 points, and then we have 10 points. And 10 points, considering that, actually 5 points. So it's a total of, hold on a second. I just had to fix something. Yeah, each week the cases are worth 10 points, and you generally have 3 cases each week, and that's how you get the 30 points for the cases. Okay. Now, finally, the discussion questions. So discussion questions, we have 2 discussion questions each week, and I labeled it, week 2, part 1 of 2, week 2, part 2 of 2. So we have 2 discussion questions each week. And you should be pretty familiar how to submit these discussion questions by now. So here I would like you to make your original posts Monday through Wednesday, make your original posts and reply to other students on Wednesday and Saturday. Please, if the easiest way to do it is just to highlight the question, copy the question, click on here to submit your link. You're going to create your thread, and then I have a question. Basic question here is, what makes their strategy better than their competitors? Actually, here's the full question. This makes more sense when I put the full question in here. So you can put the question here and then just answer the question. Put the question first and then your response below. So I know what you're answering. Oops, spelled that wrong. So just put whatever your response is, and then you should name it, put your first and last name. You could say discussion question, week 1, part 1, something like that. You submit, and now there's your thread. So anybody else can click on that thread, and they can craft a reply to that thread. And they can also rate the thread from 1 to 5 stars. And then you can't see here, but there's a submit button when you're done. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. I'm sure most people know how to do this since everybody's been working online for a long time. And even though classes are back in session, everybody's probably familiar with how to do a discussion board. And I'm just going to delete this. Oh, froze. Oh, no. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, so those are your discussion questions, and they're meant to be fun, interesting, insightful to what we're doing in the course. You can connect directly to what the class is about, what we're talking about for each of the chapters, including the Blue Ocean chapters. So you should like that. Then your grades will all be housed here under My Grades, and you'll see the grades for the 3 case studies, the Zoom simulation, discussion, the midterm, and then the essay and final exam on this level. Okay, back to announcements. Okay, so that's the class overall. Pretty simple to follow, so let's just go over really quick again. Read over the announcements, read over the syllabus. Then you can start watching the course lectures, buy the textbooks, register for the business simulation. And now with the business simulation, you can work as an individual or you can work in teams if you prefer. If you know somebody else in the class, it's fine if 2 or 3 people want to work together. But for most people, you'll generally find it'll be in a winter session with 3 weeks. It'll be a lot easier to work by yourself. There's not a tremendous amount of work to do in the simulation, but it takes some time to just learn about the mechanics of it. And I do encourage you to play practice rounds as often as you can on the simulation. And make sure you keep on top of your assignments, your case studies that are due every week, and your discussion questions that are due every week. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful for understanding the basics of how this class works. And if you have any further questions, you can email me directly. If it's a question you think the whole class can benefit from, you can put it in the class discussions here. And you should also subscribe to this thread. So here I'm subscribing to the class questions thread, so that way I'll get an email alert right away if someone posts something in there. Okay, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful class.